1 month ago, I released my first game on Steam. After 18 months of work and 29,000 wishlists, I thought I knew what to expect from launch day, but I was wrong. In this video, I'll show you exactly how the launch went, how much the game earned, and the lessons I learned from my first Steam release. Hi, I'm Julian, solo dev at Radbit Games, and welcome to the story of my first Steam launch. October 2024. After making the hard decision to abandon my first Unity project, which was way too ambitious, it was a PvP game, I think that's enough to explain it, I came up with this idea of a 2D side-scroller inspired by the Kingdom series, but where the player could fight back. There seemed to be an audience for it, and very few games in the genre. Apart from Until We Die, I couldn't find many similar games, and I thought my take would feel different enough to stand out on its own. So I started developing the game. March 2025. 6 months after starting development, I had enough visuals to put together a trailer and prepare a Steam page. The reveal trailer did okay, I guess, on my YouTube channel. It reached 3,000 views a few days later. And the trailer also got picked up by a Japanese gaming outlet. All in all, the reveal marketing beat got me 800 wishlists, which I was really happy with at the time. And 6 months later, a demo was ready. March 2025. I won't go too much into details on how the demo launch went, since I have a whole video covering this topic, but all in all, it was a wild ride. The demo launched with a new trailer, and at first, nothing happened. Almost no one covered it, despite me reaching out to dozens of YouTubers and streamers. But after a few days, things started moving. Small and medium-sized creators started releasing their videos, which encouraged me to contact even more creators. Eventually, even Splattercat ended up covering the demo, which felt like a huge achievement to me. The demo ended up in the free and trending carousel on Steam. I had successfully managed to trigger the Steam algorithm. The whole demo marketing beat brought me around 8,000 wishlists. It basically multiplied my amount of wishlists by 10 in 1 month and a half. The increased visibility also attracted publishers. At first, I wasn't too keen on sharing revenue. I had managed to build momentum on my own with no budget, so why wouldn't I keep going on my own? Still, I decided to take the calls. Amongst the publishers that reached out, Slug Disco stood out. Working with a small team felt like a better fit for me, and more importantly, they would handle the marketing side while I could focus on development. I had spent way too much time building trailers and reaching out to streamers, and that's not really what I enjoy doing. I enjoy building games, and the more time I spend doing that, the better. February 2026. The demo had been out for 9 months. With only organic visibility on Steam and a few devlog videos on my channel, wishlists had grown from 8,000 to 14,000. At this point, we were close to finishing the game, but there was one issue that kept bothering us. The demo was actually quite different from the full game. Players were enjoying the infinite run experience of the demo, but we were worried that they wouldn't enjoy the campaign structure of the full game. So we decided to rebuild the demo to better represent the actual game. This meant reworking it from the ground up, discarding most of what I had worked to separate the demo from the full game, and aligning it with the final progression system. And this was a great opportunity to align it with Team Next Fest. The publishing team reached out to creators again, and around $5,000 were spent on Reddit ads. Combined with Next Fest, this pushed us around 21,000 wishlists, with 7,000 new wishlists in a single month. That put us above our first goal, 20,000 wishlists. This was just to secure us a spot in the popular upcoming carousel. The next target was reaching new and trending at launch. That one was much less predictable, depending heavily on the first day sales. We were about 1 month and a half from release. At this point, we also started sending out playtest keys to longtime members of the Discord server. Around 10 testers joined in, and maybe half of them finished the campaign. They helped us find bugs and improve balance, which was extremely valuable feedback. You can actually find them in the game credits. They absolutely deserved it. Here we are. It's the big month. Release date is planned on the 17th. The announcement trailer on socials didn't perform that well. It did get picked up by the Game Trailers channel and reached around 3,000 views there, which was okay, I guess. I also released a devlog focused on sound effect and music, but that one didn't really perform. All in all, the 2 weeks before release were sitting at around 150 wishlists per day, and everything was set up for launch. The game was accepted in 2 Steam festivals, London Games Fest and Earth Appreciation Festival. Another ad budget was planned for launch, with around $5,000 for Reddit and $1,000 for Meta. Keys had been sent to YouTubers and streamers with no embargo or whatsoever, and a launch trailer was planned to live on release day. The days before launch were strange. The game was done, so there wasn't much left to do on my side. Then, on April 16th, one day before launch, I saw the game appear in the popular upcoming carousel. That day alone brought around 1,000 new wishlists. April 17th was a Friday. We stayed in popular upcoming right up until launch, which was set for 6 PM. The hours before launch felt extremely long. Just waiting, sitting at the computer, checking the numbers over and over. 6 PM, I pressed the button. And nothing happened. There's always a delay before the first data starts coming in, so my partner and I grabbed a beer and we went outside to celebrate. On launch day, we ended up with almost 3,000 new wishlists. But that wasn't only because of popular upcoming. A few hours after launch, we realized we were in the new and trending carousel. That felt huge. I'm a big Steam user myself, and seeing my game there felt extremely rewarding. I was proud, excited, relieved, and also quite stressed. Because then came an issue. After about an hour from launch, a message from the publishing team. Did you change anything with the sound when creatures get hit? It sounds a bit jarring. It took me a few seconds to realize what was wrong, and then I remembered. In a devlog I edited a few days earlier, the one about sound effects and music, I had boosted the volume of creature hit effects by ×5 so they would be clearer on the video. Bullet impacts. I'm using different sounds for flesh or mechanical enemies, and I never reverted it. Fixing something like that 1 hour after launch when traffic is high is probably one of the most stressful experiences in my life. Even though the version control diff showed a single line change, I was still afraid of breaking something else. The build took about 10 minutes, but it felt like a whole hour. And then I pushed the update. A few hours later, the first reviews came in, and they were pretty positive. I went to sleep relieved. I didn't check the sales yet. I wanted the numbers to stabilize first. I had no idea what to expect, and that was honestly better. The next day, the game was still at the top of new and trending. We hit over 50 reviews with more than 80% positive rating, so that gave us a very positive rating. But the forums were starting to explode with bug reports and optimization issues. This is where we realized we hadn't been testing the game enough. Going from 5 to 10 players to several thousands reveals problems you never encountered before. And some of those problems felt serious enough to hurt the review score if we didn't act quickly. So I spent the whole Saturday working on a patch which we uploaded at 4 PM. 2 hours later, new posts started appearing. Something was wrong in the new build. Black screen issues. And this time, this cost us 2 negative reviews. Loading between the hub and levels was causing crashes. That's when things got really messy. We pushed another emergency fix quickly. Fortunately, it only affected a small numbers of players between updates, but still. That night, I went to sleep with almost 10,000 new wishlists in a single day. Sunday morning, more major bugs. And with players reaching later stages of the game with more creatures on screen, optimization issues too. The review score was still above 80%, but we knew that if we didn't react fast, this wouldn't hold. So I worked the whole day on a new patch to upload around 6 PM. We tested more carefully this time, and there were no major issues to report at first. I went to bed at 82%, and I woke up at 72, mostly positive. Monday morning at 7 AM, I went panic mode. We had introduced a new issue. Sometimes creatures were ignoring completely the barricades and running straight towards the fire. This came from the optimization changes. So we immediately rolled back to the previous version while I was fixing this properly. Meanwhile, we were still at the top of new and trending. We had stayed there all weekend, mostly because there weren't any major new releases. The entire week was basically patching. One major update every day, fixing issues one by one. We think the review score drop definitely hurt momentum, and it took time to stabilize again. Eventually, we recovered 80% positive rating 3 weeks after launch. Today, it's at a stable 82%, which I'm really happy with. It's only on Tuesday, 4 days after launch, that we finally dropped off new and trending. We had a good run there. And that's when I finally checked the sales. I had avoided watching them the whole time. I didn't want want more noise during the chaos. During these 4 days in new and trending, we had sold around 6,300 copies and gained 26,000 wishlists. Literally doubling the amount of wishlists we had at launch. Now let's look at the numbers 1 month after release. We sold around 8,400 copies at a $20 price point with a 10% discount during the first 2 weeks. That brings us to around $139,000 in gross revenue. Now this is where things get a little bit less straightforward, because as you probably know, this is not money that goes straight in my bank account. From that gross revenue, you first have refunds, which account for around 15% of sales, VAT, and payment processing fees. Then there's Team Cut, which is 30%. Then there's marketing and localization costs, and all the production-related expenses. Then there's the publisher split, and finally, taxes on the company. Once everything is accounted for, the net amount is around $31,000. So yeah, going from 139,000 gross to 31,000 net is a big difference. But honestly, that's just how game sales work when you factor in everything involved in getting the game out there. And I don't really see it as a negative thing. The publisher helped a lot with the release, and most of these costs are just part of running a business. One quick extra note on the wishlist. On the same amount of time in 1 month, we gained around 30,000 new wishlists. So all in all, I'm extremely happy with how launch went. It was an exhausting period, but now things have calmed down and the game is stable. You could try to break down the numbers and try to calculate some average income with 18 months of development, but honestly that wouldn't make much sense. We're still only 1 month in and the game will keep selling over time. What matters most to me is that my new job is now at a point where it's self-sustaining. It's been 3 years since I started game development. 3 years since I opened Unity for the first time and started my first tutorial. The first year and a half was mostly learning, showing my journey on YouTube, and working on early projects. Then came Hidden Tactics, an overly ambitious PvP project which I eventually had to leave behind. After that, I started the Ember Guardian. And a year and a half later, I can actually make a living from game development. It hasn't been a straight line. There were doubts, stress, failure, and a lot of uncertainty. But also a lot of learning and, most of all, passion. I clearly wouldn't have made it without the support of my partner, my family, my friends, and all of you who have been following my adventures on YouTube. Sharing it to you has been a huge motivational booster, especially in the early days. It's really a dream come true. And now, I'm just excited to keep building games. If you want to support my work, you can check out the Ember Guardian on Steam. It's on sale right now, so you can grab it at a discount. By the way, I just released a new content update, so if you want to hop back in, well, now's the perfect time. If you bought the game, thanks so much. It really contributed to the success of this launch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a new game to work on. See you in the next one.